Now it's time to go ahead and work on the moldings up here for the piece of furniture. And it's a good thing that I created these strips of polygons here because they're really going to help me out to create that. It's going to be the basis for doing this. So if I look at the image, what I mean by molding, in case you're not sure, is this piece that goes up here, this trim that goes along the top of the furniture here and gives it more of that elegant type look to it. Okay, so we're going to be creating that. So we've already got the rough geometry for it. So let's go ahead and start to actually create this thing. I'm going to create it based on this polygon right here in my geometry. So I'm going to select that polygon, go up to Graphite Modeling Tools, Geometry tab, and I'm going to go to Detach. I'm going to detach as a separate object, and I'm going to make sure I hit Detach as Clone. Hit OK. I'm going to select that new object. I'm going to change its color. Let's go something like this. It's kind of wood-looking color. Looks similar to the image. Okay. Now, before I do anything else, if I go to vertex mode, I have some extra vertices here from the previous geometry. So I'll just hit backspace on that to get rid of it. So I should end up with basically this huge rectangle, this very long rectangle with just 4 points at each end. Okay, I want to make sure I have that. So now with this piece of geometry, it's pretty simple. I'm going to go to Edge mode and select this edge here and the edge at the opposite end. Use the Connect tool, and I'm going to connect that once straight down the middle. Okay, and the reason I'm doing that, let me show you why that is. If I look at this piece of molding here, I can see that it's broken up into halves. The top half here is this area, and then there's a bottom half down here that has this sort of pattern right here. I call it the railroad track pattern because it looks kind of like a railroad track. Okay, and basically it's just these little indentations over and over again that repeat this pattern all across the trim. Okay. So that's why I'm cutting it in half. Alright. Now next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to select both of those polygons. I'm going to go ahead and extrude those. And this time I'm going to do this manually. So I'm going to extrude about this much. Okay. And next thing I'm going to do here is I'll probably take this polygon that's up here and extrude that out a bit like so. Alright. I'm going to take that edge here and the edge at the opposite end. I'm going to connect that one time. And I'll hit OK. And I'm going to take that connection there. Let me see where I want to take this to. Maybe to about right there. I guess it's fine right there where it is. I'm going to select that top polygon. And I'm going to extrude that one out like so. And I'm going to take that edge there. And I'm going to use the Connect tool again. I'm going to take that connection and put it up a little bit higher. I'm going to take that top polygon I just created and extrude that one out like this. Okay. So I'm going to end up with this. So I have these different steps. Now all I have to do is take some of these things, like for example this edge here, and I can go to chamfer. And I can chamfer it like this. Add some segments to that, maybe about 4 segments to make it look pretty smooth. Hit OK. Maybe I'll select this edge here and move it down a little bit like this. And then use the chamfer tool right there. Maybe do something like this. Or actually, no, let me not do that. Let me hit cancel on that. Let me take this edge that's right here. I'm going to take this edge and move it up like this. And I'm going to hit chamfer on that one. I'm going to increase the chamfer amount so it goes almost all the way to the top and bottom. Maybe do about 6 segments in that, hit OK. And maybe I'll take this edge right there and I'll chamfer that as well. Reduce that a little bit like so, maybe do 4 segments just to keep the geometry a little bit lighter. Okay, so I end up with something like that. If I render that out, I have myself a nice molding. Doesn't look exactly like in the picture, but again, like I said before, the picture's there as a rough guide. Okay. Now I'm not going to create the railroad track details. Later I will, and I'll create it in this section here where this polygon is, but I'm not going to do that now. You'll see later on, you'll see why I chose to do it this way. Okay, I'm going to go to vertex mode here. I'm going to go to target weld, and I'm going to get rid of some of this extra geometry that I have. I don't need it. I don't like having excess geometry. So I'm going to do that to the other side as well. Get rid of that. Okay. And over here, let me go ahead and get rid of this as well. So I'm going to target weld that up there. Target weld the one on the opposite side there. Okay. Pretty good, pretty good. Alright, now that I got that done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy here, and I'm going to go to the Hierarchy tab, go to Effect Pivot Point, and center it to the object. And then I'm going to clone this guy and pull it out like this, hit OK. I'm going to rotate this one about 90 degrees this way. It's going to go on this side over here. Alright. I'm going to scale this guy down. He's a little bit too long for his own good. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the pivot point to the back corner. That's right here. Alright. So I'll go to the Hierarchy tab, go to Effect Pivot Point. Make sure you have vertex snapping turned on and nothing else. I'm going to snap that to that back corner. Okay. Once I do that, I can just take this guy and snap it to that back corner of the furniture, and it'll fit perfect like a Lego piece. Alright? I'm going to go ahead and go to border selection mode here. Select that border, and I'm going to cap it. This guy right here has the same problem, so I'm going to select the back border and cap that. Okay? I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to clone it. Make sure I turn snaps off. Hold down Shift while you move it to clone it easy. Okay, so I'm going to keep this out here as the original piece in case I ever have to go back to it. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy over here. If I go to wireframe mode, I can see its vertices right there. I'm going to turn Ignore Backfacing off. I'm going to select those vertices at the end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them out like this so it basically clips through this piece. So I want both of them to clip through almost like an X. Okay? And I'm doing that on purpose, and you're about to see why I'm doing that. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to make a nice cut here at 45 degrees to basically cut this thing perfectly, almost like if I was using an actual saw in an actual workshop to do this on real wood. I'm going to go ahead and select both of these guys and isolate the selection, Alt-Q to do that easily. I'm going to go to the top view, and I can see where I have to make my cut. If I go to wireframe view, I can see where I have to make my cut. So how can we make a cut right there easily, quickly, okay? And keep in mind, we're not using Boolean for this. I don't want to use the Pro Boolean tools for this. Personally, I don't think it's good to depend on the Boolean tools because they're pretty buggy and they're not very predictable. So it's best to know techniques to do this manually to get the job done right the first time, okay? So what I can do here is I can take this object, for example, and I can use the Quick Slice tool. And what that allows me to do is to select one point and then select the second point, and anything between those points gets cut. See that? However, if I zoom in, I can see that it didn't make a perfect cut. It's supposed to cut through here, and over here it's supposed to cut right through this spot right there. So it'll never be perfect. So how can I get it to be perfect and precise? Let me undo that. Well, to do that, I need some vertices there because I can use vertex snapping to get that to work to my advantage. So what I can do here is with this guy selected, I can use Quick Slice. And I can turn on snapping. And basically I can just move my mouse cursor here, the Quick Slice tool, snap one right there, snap one up there, and I just made a cut right there. Okay? I need to make a cut on the other side over here. So what I'll do is the same exact thing. I'll use Quick Slice. I'll move this until it gets close enough to where it snaps to the first vertex. Don't get too close or else you're going to be confused. So get close enough to about here. Make a cut there. Second point there. Okay? So I made a perfect cut. Right? Now what I can do is use Quick Slice again. And now since I have vertices right there, I can just come up over here, make a cut on that vertex, and across to the closest vertex, which is that one right there. If I zoom in, I can see that it made a perfect cut across there where these two objects meet up. And it did the same thing on the opposite side over here. Okay, so it makes a perfect cut. You can't get more precise than that. Alright, now what I need to do is go to polygon mode. Make sure Ignore Backfacing is turned off. Select those polygons and delete them because we don't need them. Okay, now let's select these polygons here in the corner and start deleting some of these. See, I still have some polygons right there. Delete those. Okay, let me go to perspective view so you can understand this a little bit clearer and see what in the world is happening here. If I take this object and move it up, take snapping off, you can see that I have myself a perfect 45-degree cut right through there. Okay? So I'm going to undo a couple of times there. I undid too many times. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing to this other object over here. So I'm going to go back to the top view, go to wireframe, and since I already have vertices placed right there, the cut's going to be easier. All I have to do is go to quick slice, turn on snapping, make a slice there, and make my other cut up there. If I look in, zoom in closely here, I can see that the cut was done perfectly. Okay, so I'll go to polygon mode, turn off ignore back facing. I'll select all of these polygons and delete those, and I have myself a perfect 45-degree cut for both of these guys. So if I come in here, go back to shaded mode, I can see I have a perfect cut right there on the corner. Okay, now this object has an extra edge loop here, so I'll select that loop, hit Control and Backspace to get rid of it, and there we go, now it's gone. Okay, so we have ourselves a perfect cut, alright? With no errors, no weird bugs or glitches or anything like that, okay? So let me isolate selection, leave isolation mode there. I'm going to select these guys, the furniture piece, the house again, this guy, and I'll isolate selection. Okay, so now that I did that corner piece, I don't have to make another corner piece again. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in here and basically, well, actually, we're already pretty much finished with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy here, okay, take off snapping. I'm going to make a clone of him because I'm going to need a clone of him later, all right? And what I'm going to do is take this guy here, and I'm going to go to attach and attach him right there, okay? And I'm going to symmetrize this guy. So I'll go to modifiers, I'll go to mesh editing, symmetry, and I'm going to flip it in the X right there, and perfect. It gives me a perfectly symmetrized molding up there. I'm going to collapse that, and there we go. Okay, so that's pretty much done right there. Alright, so if I zoom out here a little bit, I can see what I have so far. My furniture has most of the detailing already done, okay? So if I look at my image here, the next step is to create these variations. Remember how we have the big one, then we have a medium one, and a small one over here. So I'm going to go ahead and create these next, all right? But I'll save that for the next video.